between A.J. Brown and Saquon Barkley, you have two of the best weapons in all of football. Saquon Barkley has been better than advertised, and we thought we were getting one of the top backs in football. And with apologies to Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley is the best running back in football, and you saw that yesterday. 17 for 176, runs of 38, 41, and 55 yards. Saquon Barkley himself outgained the Giants by over 60 yards, 68 yards in total. And not only is he a great player, and he showed that yesterday, he was running 22 miles an hour at one point, his top speed, which is, I think, the second best of the year of any running back. But outside of how great of a player he is, I was really, really impressed with the way he handled himself professionally this week. Going back to New York, a lot of emotions, fans are upset, media asking a lot of questions, right? This is a really, really stressful week for a player, for Saquon Barkley. And he went up there and he handled it like a pro leading into it. He got on the field, had an amazing game, best game as an Eagle. And then after the game, he seemed more relieved that it was over than anything. He wasn't dancing on the Giants' grave. He wasn't rubbing it in. Oh, you could have signed me and you didn't. And sometimes you don't have to say it and you still feel it. And I'm sure yesterday felt really good to Saquon Barkley, but it didn't feel like he wasn't up there with a smug look or a smug attitude. He just was happy the game was over, and he had a great game. He saw his teammates after the game. I saw pictures of him speaking just with staff and training staff and operational people at the stadium. He was a Giant for 6 years, and if it was up to Saquon, he would have been signed long-term, and he'd still be a Giant, and he would still probably be losing a lot of games because the Giants aren't a good team. But Saquon Barkley really, for everything that you wanted from a player, both what he's doing on the field and how he's handling himself off the field as a total pro, God, you got to be impressed by him. And remember, he dropped the ball that would have given him the win, and we don't talk about that. That hasn't been dwelled on. He handled it perfectly. That was him. He knows it was him. He handled it like it was him, and he bounced back, and he has been amazing. He has the most rushing yards through 6 games of any Eagle. I wish I had the stat in front of me. I don't know if it's ever, but it's certainly in a really, really long time. He has been tremendous, and I can't say enough. And, I'll admit when I'm wrong, like I picked the Giants to win the game on Sunday, and sometimes I'll give myself a pat in the back when I'm correct. When the Eagles signed Saquon Barkley, I was astonished at the national reaction to the Eagles more or less giving Saquon Barkley a 2-year contract, a 2-year guaranteed contract, to where if it was a disaster, it didn't work out, they could zip him and be out of it after 2 years. I was amazed at not the negativity, but just the lack of awareness of what a back like Saquon Barkley can do for a team like the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, if this was a team that wasn't trying to be a contender or wasn't a contender or wasn't ready to win right now, I don't know if signing Saquon Barkley would have been the best move for that team. You can actually make the argument that the Giants, although they probably should have signed him before, is Saquon Barkley the difference between being a Super Bowl contender or being what they are right now? I think Saquon Barkley does a whole heck of a lot for a team like the Giants. But for the Eagles, a team that really needs to lean on the run more than maybe some of these other prolific passing teams. The Eagles are at their best when they can run the football, when they can play off the run, when you're not overly reliant on Jalen having to bail you out of everything, throwing the ball, running the ball, and everything else. You're supposed to have this great offensive line. Then get a running back and use them. And that's what they're doing with Saquon Barkley. Miles Sanders was good. Swift was good last year. They are not Saquon Barkley. This dude is unbelievable. So everything that you could have expected from Saquon Barkley when you signed him, he's been better than advertised. This has been better than I thought Saquon Barkley was going to be. And you cross your fingers he can stay healthy. You cross your fingers that you don't have to worry about some tweaks or some injuries or things like that. But so far, so great with Saquon Barkley. He has been amazing.